Well, I've just been having this thought the last few days. I like to get into documentaries, and sometimes it leads me down some rabbit hole trails and like just these little things. And to be honest, one of the things that fascinates me is cults and like getting into like how does somebody get tricked into a cult. And so different things that I like have watched and studied over the last few months, and well, really since quarantine, because we all have a little bit more time on our hands, and just different things that you find people into, or things that you hear and you go, why would they believe that? Like, how did they get there? And one of the guys I was listening to on kind of talking about how people can get into some really interesting beliefs, and even in the Christian faith. I have to be honest with you, there's beliefs that people have in the Christian faith that I go, how did you get there? How is that something that you have a principle that you live by? And quite often what he says is that the reason they find themselves there is because they're just so desiring a community. And that sometimes that community fulfills that need in them. And even for us on the outside, that it looks so strange and it looks so like confusing. They just so desire community that finally somebody hears what they're saying and somebody has their concerns. And oftentimes it's not like so much like, well, of course we're asking why, but what has caused you to buy into this lie? What lie have you bought into about yourself or in your heart that you have decided to join forces with a community? And all that to say, a community is powerful. There is power in a community, and there is power in being accepted, and there's power in reaching out and feeling like you're being heard. And so I just have had that concept in my head. You know, a lot of people have talked about like the church is changing as a whole. And how should it change? And honestly, I don't know. I have been searching and seeking and asking how should it change. But one thing that I keep coming back to that I just feel it cannot change is the group of community, having a gathering. Because there's so many people that are all over the spectrum. I'm looking for a group of people that they feel accepted and loved by. And we all need it to a degree. We need an environment to come and feel accepted. So there is power in having a community. And there's power in coming together and encouraging. And I guess one thing I want to encourage is check your hearts on what direction you're going. Because it is easy to buy into lots of different stuff. And there's lots of different beliefs out there. But to find your community and find your, that's what I love. Even on a snowy, crazy day like today, some of us still gather together because there is something to be said in coming together and worshiping God. Jesus had a community. He had those 12 plus. And Tammy and I were talking a couple weeks ago about imagine for 3 years living with these group of people. You don't think there was conflict? You don't think there was some crazy things that happened? You don't think that? Of course we know that they wanted to get away from each other because Jesus oftentimes separated himself from the community. But oftentimes he separated with the community. And they went off on their own. And so it's like there is, man, if Jesus, who was coming to this earth to do a mission, he had a job that God created him to do, if he still needed community, we need it too. And we need to make sure that we're doing it in a healthy and evolving way. Things are changing, but I'm just so grateful for our community and this body here that is willing and accepting and willing to do whatever God's asked us to do. We will go around the world if we have to, and we also do so much here in our community. So, man, I'm just glad you guys showed. I know that's kind of a rambling, all over the place thing, but I'm just grateful for community. I'm grateful that Jesus led by an example of that. This was an important thing to have, and that also, at the same time, it's important to get away and rest by yourself and do the work for yourself and dig into what God's saying to you yourself. So we're going to take up tithes and offerings if Elaine and Mark don't mind passing out the bags today. Heavenly Father, I just thank you that you led by example. And your example is that we do need one another. And that quite often we see people that are in these different areas of life that we don't understand, but our heart draws us to one another. And I'm grateful that our hearts have drawn us to each other, but we are all growing and we're all looking to be healthier and we're all looking to change and uproot beliefs that need to be uprooted and changed. And I just thank you that on this blustery, snowy, wintry day that we just get to come into this building and be with you and be with one another and encourage one another. I thank you for that example you led, and I thank you that in this day and age where we're just getting more and more farther and farther apart and more socially distanced, that we still have a common belief that will gather us together. In your name I pray.